Hey everyone, Chris Cervantez, eHomes coming at you with the Glendora monthly market update for the month of September. So, have a lot of information to share. Would like to just go ahead and jump into it because there's a lot to cover. So let's start with just the market as a whole. There's a lot of information out there if you Google what's going on with the real estate market. I'm going to wrap this up really fast by saying the market is still very, very strong in Glendora. We're seeing inventory come up, thankfully. As of right now, we have 77 homes on the market. So 77 homes, the inventory, there are more homes to choose from compared to just 3-4 months ago, which is fantastic for buyers. I'm definitely seeing, I'm not going to say a shift in pricing, but because there's more options for buyers, that's going to force sellers to price their homes appropriately. Case in point, I sold a home right there off of Cullen and Foothill recently. We sold it in April for $920. It was not upgraded at all. Now there are 4 homes in the same exact neighborhood that are ranging between $850 and $900. So previously there weren't any other homes in that exact area. Now there are 4 that are kind of just lingering in that $850 to $900 price range that look like to be in better condition than the home that I sold back in April. So we'll see how this thing develops. I think moving forward, we have still an inflation problem. We still have rising costs with all of that. We're not going to get into that, but nonetheless, we've seen interest rates peak in mid-June, and they softened up for a couple of weeks, and now we're back to the high 5% range. I would not doubt it if we end up touching 6, if not the low 6s, here in the next month and a half, 2 months. There's a lot of moving pieces to all of that, and we're not going to get into that. But with higher rates, that's definitely going to put pressure on pricing as well. Let's talk about pricing, because as far as the median price is concerned in Glendora, it actually has gone up by 9% since last year. So year over year, we have a 9% adjustment. So that's it's a big jump. Right now, the median price in all of Glendora is $837. So will that number go negative? I don't think so, but still 9%. There's a lot of wiggle room for that to go down to the low single digits, 1%, 2%. So we'll see on that. But going back to the pending and close, right now we have 41 homes in escrow. We have 38 homes that have sold in the last 30 days. That's down about 24% compared to this time last year. Of course, that's a function of the higher interest rates. A metric that I've recently started to look at that I think is it provides some context, because with all of this like negative information about what's happening in the market, I think it's wise to kind of look at like what's actually happening with regard to people that are listing their property and how much are they actually selling it for. And that's a list to sales price ratio. So if they sell it for X, do they sell it for X or do they sell it above or below? Okay. So for instance, here in the last 30 days, basically homeowners in Glendora, the 38 people that sold, they're basically selling them for their asking price. The list to sales price ratio, it was negative 0.48%. So that means that if they listed it for $837, they're selling it for like $836. So they're basically getting their asking price. Now, if you compare that to last year, the same time last year, homeowners in Glendora were only selling it for 1% higher than their asking price. So it's not been a huge swing if we compare last year to this year, the list price to sales price ratio. We'll see again once we start getting into those 6% price range or 6% interest rate. We'll see if that changes. So right now, average days on market in all of Glendora, we're looking at 23 days on average. That is taking about 28% longer to sell a home compared to this time last year. 28% sounds like a big number. It really isn't. Last year, it was 18 days. Now it's 23 days. So, I mean, we're still talking about 3 weeks on average. Not a big deal. Now, if you need to relocate to a different area and you need to sell the home fast, then you need to price it accordingly. But just know that you're looking at about 23 days on average. So let's talk highest price, lowest price in all of Glendora. So we'll start with the lowest price. I always start with the highest. Let's start with the lowest. The lowest price was actually a single family home. It's usually always a condo. In this instance, it was a home. It was 904 East Juanita Avenue. So it was listed for $689. It actually sold for $615. This was not one of those sellers that got 1%, but they must have really needed to sell it, or they must have overpriced it significantly, because nonetheless it was only a 2-bedroom, but it was on a big lot. It was a nice corner lot, and they had like RV access and then potentially an opportunity to build an ADU. That stands for an accessory dwelling unit. So you could potentially do like a duplex setup or throw a studio in the backyard. That was listed on the market for 24 days. And that was the lowest price sale. So lowest price in all of Glendora is $615. That still sounds expensive to me. Highest price was over in Bluebird. If you're not familiar with Bluebird, you go all the way up Valley Center right before you hit Sierra Madre. There's a little gated entrance right there, and then it's just like that whole hillside. Super beautiful area. I would say it's very unique in that it just feels like rustic. It feels kind of like off the grid. All custom homes up there. And so that one was 3500 Bluebird Rd. That was listed for $3,548,000. Closed escrow for $3,250,000. 6,000, basically a 7,000 square foot house. 7,000 square feet. So the views on most of those homes, if you get high up the hill, the views are insane. This one was no exception. Incredible views, 19 acres of property, double gated. So once you get through that first gate right there off of Valley Center, this is behind a second gate. It was built in 2002, so that it was a newer home for that area. It only took 29 days to sell in the market, so a buyer saw some extreme value in that one because it sold relatively fast for that purchase price. And it was a 3-bedroom home. So that's it. A lot of information. Something that I did want to touch on is that Freddie Mac did come out and with a statement this past week. They were talking about interest rates potentially being down in the 4% next year. I thought that was really interesting. But if you have any questions about your situation, you'd like to talk about your real estate question, please feel free, reach out. All my information is below. I'd love to chat. So thanks so much for watching. Take care. Talk soon.